I'm joined right now by Democratic Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, former House Speaker. Madam Speaker, thank you for being with us. So the former president is trying to rewrite history, ludicrously now claiming you were behind the insurrection at the Capitol, saying he should have total immunity. You've seen a lot of presidents up close. If a president had total immunity, as Trump claims, what would that mean? What would that actually look like?
That would mean that, hi, Anderson, nice to be with you. That would mean that this president thinks that he is above the law. And I think that he is on trial for certain things. I think the Supreme Court is on trial as well to see if they would uphold the decision of the D.C. District Court and, well, the 4 votes to hear it, 5 votes for a stay. How could they possibly give a stay for justice to proceed? How could they possibly give a stay? So this is really, again, he always thought he was above the law. He's trying to make that a case. That's not what our founders had in mind. They knew there could be a rogue president. I don't think they thought there could be a rogue Supreme Court as well.
Do you have confidence in the Supreme Court? I mean, should Clarence Thomas have recused himself given his wife's activities?
Absolutely. Well, he should have for a long time. But the rules of the Senate, the protocols of the Senate are such that they really are not living up to a high ethical standard. And he should have been recusing himself. But they say their rule is that it's up to the person to recuse themselves. They have no peer pressure or anything to address that. But his wife is so involved in everything that was happening on January 6th, bragging about it. And there he is.
I spoke to former Governor Chris Christie last week. He said he thinks it's likely the former president will be accepting his party's nomination in July as a convicted felon. Do you think Trump will actually stand trial before the election?
Who knows? This is a person whose sanity is not on the level. Thinks he's above the law. He's a national security risk. Just listen to his own words about encouraging Putin to invade countries that may not have paid what he thinks they should pay for NATO dues, and that we will not honor our responsibility to NATO, Title V, to protect them, just as they joined in protecting us after 9/11. We would not honor our commitment to them. So we're dealing with somebody who's not on the level. Not on the level legally, not on the level security, not on the level personally.
The extraordinary thing about that, about Trump saying that he encourages Russia to attack NATO countries, Marco Rubio, who was asked about it by Jake Tapper, said he had no concerns about that. Other Republicans didn't bat an eye. I mean, what is this? It seems like an extraordinary statement for somebody who was a president and wants to be a president again. What would that do, I mean, to America's standing in the world, to America's strength in the world?
Well, it would be, as I say, it would. Look, it's not just alone. At the same time, in the same period of time, the president is talking about Nikki Haley's husband, who's on duty in the Horn of Africa, and dismissing that of where is he? Why isn't he here? Well, if one of us had a friend, a family member or something who was on duty in service to our country and was treated with in that manner, something's wrong there. And then same thing with our own obligations as a president. I can't speak to what Marco Rubio is thinking about this. You'll have to ask him. But what I'm saying to you is this. Now, this is dangerous. I have the privilege of being invited to the Munich Security Conference this coming weekend. Usually we have at least 10% of the Congress that goes there, House and Senate, Democrats and Republicans, in a very bipartisan way, to talk about our security, our mutual security, our transatlantic relationship, the commitment to NATO, our friendship with the EU and the rest. And people now have expanded to come from other parts of the world, not just Europe and the United States and Canada. And but how do we even hold our heads up when we haven't passed the legislation to fund Ukraine to fight Putin, Ukraine courageously fighting for their democracy and ours. The countries of Europe bordering Ukraine and bordering Russia know that they're at risk. And then we have a president saying invade them if they haven't done what I think they should do. he also did that when he was president. So it is, to your question, yes. It's not a good sign about America's commitment to global security.
As you know, the Senate was working.
And again, we have to show the difference that not everybody agrees with this. Even some Republicans don't agree. You name one person, but I think there are many Republicans who have some unease with this.
As you know, the Senate was working through the weekend to try to make progress on a foreign aid bill with assistance to Ukraine and Israel. Do you think Speaker Johnson will bring that bill to the House floor if it passes the Senate?
Well, he says no, but let's just see when it passes the Senate. Public sentiment is saying, what is going on here? What is going on here? Now, one thing about all of that is really sad is that the President Biden, for a long time, has had in that legislation humanitarian assistance to people in Gaza, and that would be at risk as well. Ukraine, it's a moral responsibility. I mean, it's in our interest to help Ukraine. It's in our interest to help Ukraine. The aid to Israel is something that we're committed to, but we also are concerned about the hostages, and we're concerned about the people of Gaza and their need for humanitarian assistance. This is not how conflict should be resolved in this way, with people, innocent civilians dying in those numbers. But they do need humanitarian assistance, but that's being held up as well.
The Speaker Johnson has said he will not bring it up.
Our leader, Hakeem Jeffries, said that he has not ruled out using a discharge petition, which is a parliamentary maneuver to try to bring a bill to the floor, and also to just see where all of the Republicans are on this, because we've had over 300 votes for assistance to Ukraine, but strong bipartisan support for that in the Congress. So this isn't a partisan issue in most respects, but it is. You saw the other day they brought up two bills they didn't have the votes for.
What do you think of Speaker Johnson? I mean, you would not have brought up bills you didn't have the votes for.
Never. But what I say is, I mean, I wish him well. He's the Speaker of the House. I wish him well. I wish we can find a path. I offered help any way I could. But I think the Republicans wanted Trump as their Speaker. And
did you offer to help him count votes?
Well, the thing about it is, I'll just use this word that is really lacking on the Republican side, both in the Congress and with what's his name used to be president. Respect. Respect your members. Listen to their concerns. Build your consensus, and then you come to the floor with the votes. But you don't come to the floor without the votes and then say, "Oh, I thought it was going to be different." No, this is objective numbers. Objective numbers. And then in terms of respect, the president doesn't respect the Congress. He doesn't, well, I don't know what his attitude is to the court. He appointed them. I guess he expects them, they owe him or something. He doesn't respect our global relationships. He doesn't respect our commitment to NATO. So it's a lack of respect across the board, personally, politically, globally, and in so many ways. And I just wish it were different. I pray for the president all the time. I pray that he would open his heart to wisdom, his mind to wisdom, his heart to goodness, but it's a hard sell.
Congresswoman Pelosi, if you would just stay with us, we're going to take a short break. Back with us, Congresswoman, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Do you think that is the avenue that President Biden should go down on this, sort of poking fun at I mean, his age is his age?
His age is his age, yes. I'll tell you this, though. I've worked with the president for a long time, especially closely as Speaker when he was president, and now since then. And he knows. I mean, he's always on the ball. He knows these issues. He knows the legislation. He helped write some of it. He campaigned on it. He remembers it. Anyone who would think that they're at some advantage because of his age thinks that at their peril, because he's very sharp.
Look, I'm sure you hear this from Democrats all the time. There are Democrats, a lot of Democrats who have concerns, though, about his age, about his mental fitness. How much of him stumbling over words or saying Mexico instead of Egypt, What do you say to people about their concerns?
Well, I think that people do make mistakes. I think his age is one thing. That's an objective fact. His making a mistake from time to time, we all do that. When the former ex-president defeated President Trump made a mistake about one thing or another, he would make the same mistake 7 times. It wasn't a slip of the tongue. It was a complete going down a path of something that wasn't even true, intentionally or otherwise. So I think that, again, age is an objective fact. As I say, it's all relative. He's younger than I am, so what do I have to say about his age? But he is, knowledgeable, wise. And after the football game yesterday, which I was sad, I'm proud of the San Francisco 49ers.
I didn't want to bring it up with you, but since you brought it up.
Yeah, but I mean, the reason I brought it up is because at the end of the game, you saw experience prevail. We have a new, fresh team. Wait till next year. We're getting all ready for it. But you saw experience prevail at the end. Experience is so important. So Joe Biden has vision. He has knowledge. He has a strategic thinker. This is a very sharp president. In terms of his public presentation, if he makes a slip of the tongue here or there, what's the deal? He has
You see a difference.
What he needs mentally and what he has in his heart empathetically for the American people.
You see a difference in his public presentation from what you see when you sit across the table from him or in a meeting with him. Yeah. I did a podcast interview with him for about 30 minutes, and again, it was on emotional subjects, it was about grief, but he was very involved. I mean, he was fully present, fully cognizant, and sharp, and that really made an impression on me. His public presentation is very different than what is that what you're saying? It's very different than what you see in meetings?
Yeah, but I think his public presentation is okay. I think in meetings you see firsthand that he's on top of the situation. He knows what's going on. And why we've been having this conversation, we're talking about Joe Biden, the president of the United States, compared to. But it isn't just the comparison. It's about what he brings to the table. Years of experience, depth of knowledge that is, again, very deep, breadth of experience that serves us well, beauty of his judgment and his vision for our country. I tell you, I care about this country so much. Since a little girl, I've loved the flag all the way. And I always say my favorite line in the national anthem is, and our flag is still there. Our flag is still there. That's when I cheer at the game. And so this is a person who's super patriotic, very knowledgeable. And sometimes when I'm talking to him, he'll say, you don't have to tell me that. I know that. I know that full well, even if I'm trying to make an extra point on something. So if I didn't care about America so much, I wouldn't be as enthusiastic about Joe Biden for president again so much.
It's become somewhat famous now. President Trump in New Hampshire apparently trying to criticize you. You were sort of referencing this, but I just want to play that because I was curious what you thought when you saw this.
By the way, they never report the crowd on January 6th. You know, Nikki Haley, did you know they destroyed all of the information, all of the evidence, everything? Deleted and destroyed all of it, because of lots of things. Like Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people, soldiers, National Guard, so whatever they want. They turned it down.
I mean, none of the facts he's saying are actually true, but obviously he was trying to talk about you. He was calling you Nikki Haley.
Well, 4 times he made a mistake in a very short period of time. So that's a different story than a slip of a tongue. But I will say that on that score, this is really sick. This is a president who refused to send the National Guard for hours. And now he's doing what he always does. He projects his own guilt onto other people.
You're actually
and he's
on
always
tape.
Been projecting.
You're actually on tape that your daughter happened to be filming on that day where you are trying to get the National Guard or the military to send troops to the Capitol. You're saying, think about it as if it's the White House. Think about it like it's the Pentagon.
Yeah, not only me. Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell said, you better get them over here in a hell of a fast, or some terminology like that. Yeah, I mean, this is ridiculous. We pleaded with the Secretary of Army. We pleaded with him to appeal to the Secretary of Defense. Oh, it's going to take a long time. I have to go talk to my boss. All of that. What's so sad is the District of Columbia, unlike any state in the Union, the head of the District of Columbia does not have the authority to call up the National Guard. It has to be from the executive branch. And they know they didn't do it. And now they try to turn it around. But that's the story of his presidency, always projecting his own failures and then trying to put it onto somebody else. It's really a sad situation for our country because he's been a national security risk. He was a personal risk that day for so many. People were injured, over 100 police officers, law enforcement people were injured. Some people died. Yeah. And this person doesn't even know who he's talking about there. And is anybody making a fuss? Is anybody making a fuss? For some reason, it's okay if you're 77 and making a mistake 5 times in a row, whatever he did then. But if you're Joe Biden, then they hold you to a higher standard. But they always hold Democrats to a higher standard. We can live up to it. And I'm very proud of the president. And when it comes to these documents, the president has been open. President Biden has been open. He has given access to his venues, his home, here and there, his documents, whatever it is. And this other one, you had to have a subpoena to even have access, denying you had them and telling his staff to comply with his misrepresentations about it. So it's really sad what the special counsel came out with. He should have, you prosecute or you don't, it's a professional thing to do. To start deciding on somebody's age, do you know that before Trump was president, before he was president, so now we're going back about, 7 years? So he was 70 or 69 at the time. Over 1,000 times he said, I don't know, I can't remember, I don't know, again, over 1,000 times in depositions. So people say that in depositions, some, 1,000 times, something's wrong there, but nonetheless. So for this report to go into the personal aspects of somebody saying, I don't know, I don't remember, when they didn't really call it out on other people. But anyway, we don't agonize, we organize. We have a great candidate, Joe Biden, President of the United States, Kamala Harris. We're on the road to victory, as I say. But we just win, baby. We have a will to win, and we will win because it is the right thing for our country. In the meantime, we have a security risk who wants to be president again.
Congresswoman
and
Nancy
we just
Pelosi.
Can't let that happen to our country.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.